Syd Banks, the founder of the Three Principles, talked a great deal about finding your own wisdom. And that's where we're pointing to the truth of who we really are, that innate well-being that we have, that innate resilience. It's always there, it doesn't go away. That's great news indeed. Because thoughts come and go, don't they? And they fluctuate, and we have feelings to match the thoughts. And sometimes I'm running on high and, I'm full of energy and I can go on and forever and ever. And at other times I just want to be more quiet. And it's in those quiet times that I'm reminded of what Syd says. I want to read you a little piece from his book, The Missing Link. And he talks about there being an enormous difference between finding your own inner wisdom and adopting somebody else's beliefs. And that's what I'm pointing to in this last video. The way you experience your life, the way you understand the principles will be unique to you. It won't be the university version, it won't be Syd Banks' version, it will be your version, because this is your truth, this is your way of finding your wisdom. And wisdom's in everything. It's in the chaos of education, it's in the chaos of the day. Wisdom is there. It's just that we stop looking for it, we stop hearing its voice. We get in the way. I often get in my own way. I was sharing this with a group of very young teachers earlier this week. And I was asked or invited to talk about the three principles and resilience in education, because at the end of a semester, teachers are really tired. They've put their all into everything. And we have a new national curriculum and they're learning it, new style of assessment, and they're coming to terms with that. And then towards the end of term, there's all the assessment and the marking and the catching up. And so they were really tired. So the first thing that we did together was to be present to one another. And how I do that differs each time I go into a staff room. How you will do that when you're sharing the three principles with children or youth or other adults, how you do that is to go where they are, to begin with where they are, to get present in yourself and in that presence of who you really are, in that neutral space without anything on your mind. You will hear the right thing. You will know what to say with those staff. So I was sharing a staff meeting and I did an intake. Sometimes I do it by just asking how everyone is. But today I did it by asking, tell me something you noticed about the person next to you. And there was a real slowing down in the staff room. There was a real calm that descended. Whilst people got out of the thinking of the day and into the presence of who they are and who the person next to them was. And there were some lovely things shared. There were about 35 staff present. And what we were sharing was who we really were in that moment, without all that personal thinking about teaching and assessment and curriculum and home and weather and everything else that goes through our minds. We were just present to our own truth in the moment. And we heard our wisdom. And sometimes I don't really know, because I'm coming from the unknown all the time. And it's the same with this video. I don't know what will come, because I'm coming from my wisdom, and it isn't made up. It isn't personal thinking. It isn't what if thinking. It isn't I must thinking. It's just neutral and in the moment. And that doesn't take long to get into that place. And it can regenerate even the deepest of thinking that takes you into the bottom of the pit that I've talked about before. That thinking where you could, metaphorically tear your hair out, where you really don't know what solution is. Find the presence. Sometimes you can find it in doing something, washing up or running, driving somewhere. Because it's about reaching that place, that very neutral place, that glimmer of who you really are, without anything made up, without any personal thinking. Taking our focus away from that innate resilience in that moment. And sometimes it's a little bit like holding a whole pile of beach balls down under the water, isn't it? You get some thinking about a colleague or a family member and you push it down. And then another thing enters your thinking and you push that down until you've got so many beach balls held down under that water that they're bound to pop up. And so the best thing you can do in that moment is to let go. Let go and see what happens. So the quality of your thinking. Our feelings guide us. We live in the feeling of our thinking. If I'm feeling awful, I've got some pretty awful thoughts going on. Nothing else. Isn't anything outside of me. It isn't that I want to fix education or redo the curriculum. I just noticed I'm irritated. I've got irritable thinking and my feelings are matching. Quality of our thinking in that moment. There's wisdom in that too. There's wisdom in irritability, thank goodness. As long as we don't hurt anybody else with it. I read a fantastic piece on bullying recently. It's in Garrett Kramer's book. And it was a young teacher called Marie in the USA who had a lot of bullying going on in her classroom. And she wanted to know how the 3 principles would help. And all she did was make a mood board so that children would come in every day and she would have the positive moods and the negative moods, and they would, put a little magnet, their face of where they were with their mood. And they noticed it didn't matter what was going on, what the external circumstances were, but their moods, their thinking changed. Sometimes it's good to remind ourselves that moods and feelings, experiences come from the quality of our thinking, and that we create our own thinking moment to moment. But the one most important thing is to understand that greater intelligence, mind, whatever name you give to that greater intelligence that's enabling this world to exist, that presence, that neutral, loving presence is always there. It's always there. Carry that with you. You have everything you need, everything to teach, everything to be. It's always there. It doesn't go away.